So these exercises we're going to look at today are looking into alignment work, and in swimming alignment is really, really important because it matters about how you rotate around the spine. So a lot of the exercises are rotation-based exercises, or putting some sort of essentially a moment in to kind of increase your strength as staying stable and strong around that spine position. In swimming, you'll find that people who are snaking usually have tightness in the shoulders, so hopefully some of the other exercises we've done will loosen some of those things off. But also, if you find yourself snaking down the lane or being slightly lopsided in the way that you swim, you'll find that you're not going to swim necessarily in as straight a line as possible when it comes to open water swimming, which then means you usually take a longer, slower therefore, time to go around the course. So with a lot of these exercises, they are in some ways quite advanced, so you can step them up, use your knees, drop to your elbows if needs be, but the focus on this is trying to make sure the rotation is happening as if you were on a kind of a round disc at the bottom and then just turning your whole body around, so you're not kind of sloping around at all like this. The spine is being the axis and everything else is rotating around the spine. Much like you would when you were swimming through that position there, it's a rotation around that around the spine here. It's not a swim like that to get yourself moving better. So we start off with the medicine ball twist. We're going to go into a classic sit-up position. You can make this a variation by having your feet on the ground to begin with, and you're just going to take a weight of some description of medicine ball and rotate round from side to side. If that's quite easy, then you can lift your legs up, but the idea behind this is that your feet are staying in the same place the whole way around, so you're really controlling that motion from side to side. Again, it's not about going crazy fast, it's about having the control of that spinal axis as you go around. We're going to look at now an exercise which I've nicknamed the 007 Swiss ball move. Personally, I find it a lot easier when I have the James Bond theme tune going in my head as I do this one. So we're going to lie with our shoulders on the ball, hips nice and high up, with our knees slightly bent in that position just there. So we're making sure nicely up to the top. And we're going to focus on this rotation. So we turn with James Bond, and we look over to our right, and then over to our left, rotating and controlling that rotation around, and just clearing the room, so to speak, as you go around that way around. Like I said, it does make it easier if you have the James Bond theme song going off in your head at the same time. Key thing here is making sure that you're trying to rotate around the spine, and it's a whole rotation. It's not just a little bit like that with your arms or otherwise. That's a full rotation all the way around. Now we look at the Swiss ball tuck. So we're going to go into a long-armed plank position with our feet on top of the ball, like this. And from this position, we're going to bring the ball in, up, knee, bending our knees, bring it in, and then pushing it all the way out. Bringing it in, and then pushing it all out. Again, the ball's unstable, it's likely to move, but we're trying to stabilise using our core. If this is a little bit too hard for you, you can knock it down onto your elbows, although that just reduces some of the clearance. But there you go from that position, just to take a bit of load off your shoulders, in there, and then back out again. So you've got the control there, keeping your pelvis and your hips nice and stable. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is the Swiss ball twist. So it's very similar to the Swiss ball tuck, which we've just done, except instead of bringing things up and down forwards, we're actually going to be rotating around the side. So where we had James Bond, our shoulders are rotating, now we're looking at the bottom part of our body rotating as well. So you're going to just go into the position on the Swiss ball, and then you're going to then rotate the ball that way, and then control it back here, and then rotate it around to this side, and back again. So again, it's rotating the bottom half and stabilising through the pelvis and the core. If that's a little bit tough, you can go into the plank position, and again, same idea, like this, just using the ball to rotate the bottom half rather than the top half. What we're going to look at now is the side plank position, but with this side plank position we're going to put in a TheraBand and actually get the hand working in the swimming action as well. It's a really good opportunity obviously to test your alignment and test your core at the same point, but also just check that your arm cycle is doing the right thing as well. So don't be afraid to see this as more as a mental side of things, to make sure you're able to do the right swimming action as opposed to just working the core. In fact, if you work so hard on the mental side of things to help correct the swimming action, you end up forgetting that your core might be hurting a little bit through this one. So we get into the side plank position. Do this one off your elbow, and then you take a TheraBand and anchor it somewhere over there. Now the key bits we're looking at here, from a core point of view, is that when you're grabbing hold of that band, you're making sure that your alignment is still remaining still. So we're introducing that instability and moving it away from our centre of gravity or a centre of alignment, and we're now adding a bit of force to that. So we're going to make sure the force is generated through the core and the body. So from there, you're then going to push the hand all the way back. So you're going to bring it back up to around about your breastbone point. So bra strap for ladies, there'll be a heart rate monitor strap for ladies and men. And what you're looking to try and do here is making sure that you do have that elbow nice and high, and you're leading the push with a hand and not pulling it backwards with the elbow. So if you just go through a couple of things just there, I'll pick up a few key sort of mechanical areas which are sometimes quite common. The first one is, if we're going to do this bad one, is when you drop the elbow and you pull it that way around. It becomes tricep focused. We're going to make sure the elbow is nice and high, and then you're pushing that way all the way through. So you're almost consciously saying, yep, elbow's there, and then push all the way down. The next thing to think about is where is the anchor base. Make sure it's in line with the direction you're trying to travel, so don't have it pushing out to the side each time. It's about generating that straight pull and then press through the water all the way to the back end of the stroke. Now we're going to look at a bit of threading the needle, so bringing in the rotation again through to the core, but we're going to do a bit more instability again, or resistance, sorry, by bringing in band as well. So we get into the threading the needle position. You can do this either on your knees, or knees and elbows to make things a little bit easier, or you can do this from the long arm plank position. You're going to take hold of the TheraBand underneath your arm, and then you put it on the opposite side, so away from it. You're going to set yourself up in that position, core nice and strong, alignment there, and then you're going to pull the arm all the way out, and then back in again. Making sure that your alignment, your core is remaining nice and strong. This is again introducing torsion, which is going to set us up really nicely for some work later on in the swimming stroke. Again, we look into instability coming across the body, and by bringing our hands out, we're going to make our body work a little bit harder, a little bit like you would do when you're swimming. So we're going to do essentially a squat. You can remind yourself of James Bond if that's what you want to do, and have your hands straight out in front of you, holding on to some sort of anchored TheraBand. With this, you can vary the resistance to make it harder. A little bit of resistance obviously makes things a little bit easier. The purpose of this isn't looking at the squat, it's about bracing yourself and keeping yourself nice and straight. So as you're going down, you're not moving across the side at all. You're staying up and down each time you're moving it. So you're going to a squat position like this, and then down again. And again, I can make this harder by pulling this in a little bit more, or easier by making it a little bit lighter as we go down as well. We're going to look at just bringing in some instability again through the shoulders and trying to get the feeling that actually open water is a little bit rocky and everything else from from potentially waves and other people, and you need to be able to react to that. So we're going to take the Swiss ball, and we're going to set ourselves up into a plank position on the Swiss ball, or an aero bar position, depending how you're looking at it. You can do this from the knees, or you can do this from the toes if you want. And with that, you're going to just put the Swiss ball into a very, very small circular motion. The more comfortable you feel, the more you try and push outside of that centre line. Again, you're trying to keep your alignment and everything else nicely lined up. So it's just the shoulders which are moving, and you're bracing yourself as best you can do. If that's particularly easy, then you can also go up onto the kind of long arm plank position or press up position, so you're up into that position and rotating round rather than in the aero bar position as you go. Next, we're going to look into the press up to plank, or long arm to short arm plank, rotation through that one. You can do this from your knees, or you can do this from your feet, depending how you feel. Either way, whichever way you do it, make sure that you remember to swap the direction that you're loading up on. So don't always go up and down on the same arm. Make sure you swap it. Go up one way and then down, and then up the other way and then down. With this, you're going up and down, but you want to make sure that your spine, your alignment is staying nice and controlled. It's not a twisting motion as you go around. You're moving up and down with control, even though you do have that rotation by the fact you have different levels of your positions going up and down. The final two exercises we're going to look at are focused on the front plank position, and they're bringing in a bit more of a full stroke element into the whole of this swimming thing. Again, we're looking at holding yourself in a good alignment, making sure we're quite nice and strong. However, we have a bit of resistance from the resistance band, focusing at the front end, the top end of the stroke, so up there, or at the back end of the stroke, so looking at the back end as you go through the swimming stroke. If you've got a flexible enough band, you might actually be able to do this all the way through the stroke, or if you're on a pulley system. If you don't, then just focus on the two bits separately, just because it will allow you to have the actual range of motion and the resistance in the band to do both properly. So let's start off. We're going to start off at the back end of the stroke. So we're doing either a plank position there, or you can do long arms as well. I suggest you start from that position. If that's a little bit too hard, then put the knee down as well. And we're going to make sure that we're setting our swimming stroke up nicely, and then we're just pushing ourselves all the way back, keeping ourselves nice and controlled with the core position through here. So again, from here, bringing this one up, over-exaggerate that elbow, and finish off the stroke nice and strong in the back without rotating laterally at all, and you're making sure you've got the resistance going on there. Then if that's, we're going to move back a bit down this way, so we'll do the front end stroke. As I said, if you've got the band resistance and flexibility, you can do the whole thing. Now look at the front end of the stroke, so we're just going to stick our hand out forwards, nice to reach. But as we're reaching, we're making sure we stay nice and aligned, so nicely there. And then we're going to try and keep this elbow as high as possible and pull it back, just to about the position we started the last one on. If you've got the flexibility, you can push all the way through. And you're going to go one all the way through. There we go. So you can see here, hands there, that's nice. All the way to the back end of the stroke, depending on what you've got flexibility-wise.
That's hard.